Have nice things. Well, hello guys. We are the comment on random shit guys. I'm one half of the host. Who cares? No, that other guy down there. That's my half of the co-host. He's who cares. I am Noob Frostmage. We're trying to continue on. Well, we're not trying to. We are. We're continuing on with our process of randomly talking about different articles that show up. We have uh, what's it called here? Who cares? It's an algorithm, I guess. It just sets up. We talk about the first story that comes up. We're going to go a little bit slower like as we go on to our third story, so that we can kind of see what the articles are, and then we're going to discuss whether we want to come back to that if there's time or not. Is that reasonable? That's what we kind of thought we were going to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, I have a degree in political science, and halfway through a philosophy degree, and I chose not to continue on with that because of the overlap. The point being, logic is really the kicker here. Who cares? Tell us just a couple moments about yourself.
I do not have a degree in political
It's
science.
true, you do not. You're much more of a math kind of guy, though, right? You
I
know
have
what?
lots of math and physics in my background.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have a
yes.
degree in astrology. Is that what it was?
Astrology.
Oh, I
Now
mean
you're going to come over
astronomy.
there. I'm going to slap you now.
No, he's a physics kind of guy. He knows lots about physics and lots
I
about
did a
maths.
lot of astronomy as well. Yes.
Astronomy, that's right.
Yeah.
So
Astrology.
he's
You're
also
getting hit.
what's that?
Astrology. You're going to get hit for that one.
I mean, that wasn't by design. It was an accident.
Yeah.
So as I said, the format is we just kind of hit this refresh button. We talk about really the first story that comes up, and then we move on three clicks of the button and move on to the next story. So who cares tonight? We never know what the topic is, right? We just talk about whatever happens to come up, and that just is the way that it is, right? And that works out well for us. Before we get into the story, I'd like to share that because we spent the article you can see up there right now, reasons for optimism in the Calgary Flames final 18 games. We're not going to talk about that story, but we did at length the other day. I think it was on Thursday or so. We did talk about the Flames because trade deadline was Friday afternoon. Do you recall if there was any major trades that the Calgary Flames made? Who cares?
There was not what I would seem to be a major trade. However, there was a trade. The trade Flames did trade with the Leafs.
Yeah.
Seemed to me they played the Leafs that night and then made the trade afterwards. Maybe I guess I was
No, it
very
would have been
late.
before. The trade deadline was 3 o'clock on Friday. Oh yeah, yeah. Maybe they played
Mhm.
him on Thursday, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, that's what it seemed to me. They just played the Leafs. It might have been the same night. And then I
Yeah.
see an article on Friday that they made a trade with the Leafs. I'm not overly familiar with the players these days on any team, let alone the Calgary
Right.
Flames. Um, so the name meant zero to me. I apologize to that player um, that he's not on my horizon of knowledge.
Well,
But you know, there are a few names that get thrown around, and this wasn't one of them. So I'm guessing it was just a minor trade, moving two players for whatever reason. Um, and that's it seems to be the only one that I caught that the Flames had made a trade on.
so I am a who cares, and most people know that I am a bit more of a Flames fan. I am wearing my Flames jersey as I always do on these things, but
Oh, I forgot to get my paper bag. Damn,
uh,
paper bag over. There
well,
is no reason for optimism in the final 18 games.
it's well, I think there's a little bit there, but to your player here, whoever that trade was, we made. I think I agree with you. It was one minor trade. It doesn't. It's not going to have too much of impact, I think. But I think the bigger piece, and was just really more administrative, they sent two players down to the AHL, to the Calgary Wranglers, the farm team.
Okay.
And really, the only reason to do that is to have the ability to pull them up later on in the season, in the playoffs or something like that, right? because you're only allowed to have 24 or 26, I forget which, 24 or 26 players on your active roster. But by sending people down to the AHL, you can pull them up, right? So, other than that, all right. Shall we hit this and go? You want to do the first story?
Well, you're doing a good job. You go.
Okay, here we go. We're going to refresh and hit the start button. We've got 8 minutes on the clock. Let's go. All right. 2 Americans. What does it say? 2 Americans kidnapped in Mexico found dead and 2 found alive, Mexican officials say. Well, oops. What do we look? Ooh, this slid down because breaking news or something just happened there. Sorry about that. Try to adjust that.
I see it. Breaking news. Yeah.
Breaking news breaking across the top.
There's an X across the right-hand side. You can close it on the red banner.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, we'll slide that back up just like that. I wanted to see what that breaking news was though.
Well, then you shouldn't have closed it.
Right? Okay, let's try it again because I messed this one up. 2 Americans kidnapped in Mexico found dead and 2 found alive. I'm not sure what that means. That seems kind of conflicting. How can you have 2 Americans? So it's, first off, CNN. We should be more critical of CNN because a lot of Americans get their news from CNN and Fox News. It's kind of left and the right of the political spectrum. But 2 is spelt incorrectly here. Right? My understanding from English is that anything less than 100 you should type out. So this should be a TWO. Americans kidnapped in Mexico found dead, and TWO found alive. That's just a little bit of a judgment on our part too, CNN. I think it's, well, the first paragraph says 2 of the 4 Americans. So
right. I'm familiar with this article.
You are familiar?
Like I'm familiar with this story.
Okay. So it should be 4 Americans kidnapped in Mexico. 2 found dead.
Yeah. 2 were found dead and 2 were found alive. Of the 4 that were kidnapped, 2 have been found dead and 2 have been found alive.
Yeah. So that title of this article doesn't align with what the first sentence says. And that's not unusual, I don't think. Right? Anecdotally, I've been down to Mexico twice, and on one of the trips, the people I were with that speak Spanish, they would buy the newspaper every day, and the first 8 pages are color photos of people that had died the previous night for various reasons, usually gang-related, gunfights, things like that. And it's to give shock, I guess, right? That's what the news does. So the fact that 4 Americans were kidnapped in Mexico and 2 were alive and 2 are dead, it's tragedy. I'm not shocked that happens. Thoughts? You said you're more aware of this story, so.
As I understand, 4 Americans were crossing the border. I believe they were from South Carolina. As it would turn out, just reading the article, one of them was heading to Mexico to get a quote-unquote tummy tuck. And I guess the friends went down for support or for a trip or whatever else. Anyways, they crossed the border into some town notorious for gang rivals, cartel gang rivals. They were in the middle of a shootout or something. And one of the cartels kind of seems screwy to me, but kidnapped the 4 Americans. Like you're in the middle of a gun battle and you kidnap them. Maybe they're hoping for ransom money. Opportunity strikes. Hey, we're in the middle of a gunfight, but hey, let's grab those 4 Americans. I don't know. Seems a little screwy what was going on. But anyways, 4 Americans crossing the border into this town. They get kidnapped in the middle of a gunfight. I'm guessing they got ditched somewhere or something because 2 are found deceased while 2 are still alive, but I believe they are wounded. I don't know whether it was during the gun battle with the other cartel that they were shot and killed, or whether it was some kind of execution after the fact that the cartel, that the gang that kidnapped the Americans ultimately killed them. I didn't seem to say in the articles that I happened to read about it, but completely a case of wrong place, wrong time.
So I'm just scrolling through this article. I'm about halfway through. I mean, there's, I don't know, 50 paragraphs and only like 2 cents paragraphs. But um, the news comes days after the group was abducted at gunpoint in somewhere in Mexico, Matamoros. I'm not sure if that's correct, and I do apologize if it's wrong. In what is believed to be a case of mistaken identity.
Oh,
Four
okay.
Americans, as you said, are this Carolina medical procedure. Next paragraph. Investigators believe the Americans were targeted by a Mexican cartel that likely mistook them for Haitian drug smugglers, which is in line with exactly what you're saying there, right? So if the the cartel, the guys that are shooting up this van, it's not unusual for them to go over and quote unquote kidnap the people that are in the van because they want to torture them and do all those other things that gangs do to send a message to their rivals, as it were. And at which
Right.
point it would come out that we're not part of that gang. We're Americans, and this is what's happening. This is what's going on,
Mhm.
right? And the gang members, the cartel, would be like, now what do we do with this?
Yeah.
Right? Do we kill these two because now they know who we are and identify and all those other things, even though we've shot up the other two, shot up the van? So it's unsure yet if this article, the two that are alive are the people that are in the van and the two that were taken are dead, or if that's the other way around. It would be unusual for, I think, the cartel, again, I don't know these things, right? But it would be unusual for the cartel to kidnap two people and leave those two people alive. I think those two
Yeah.
people that they kidnapped are dead, and the other two they shot up are recovering from their bullet wounds and whatnot.
Yeah, the articles I had read about it were a little more vague as far as it sounded like they in a sense they got caught in a crossfire because they distinctly said that the one gang was in a gunfight with another gang.
Yeah.
So it sounded like the band got caught maybe in a crossfire and maybe they were killed and wounded within that
Yeah.
happening. But now you're giving me new information that the cartel thought it was, you said an Asian, did you, or just,
No, it just says a Mexican cartel likely mistook them for Haitian, like Haiti.
okay, yeah, okay, yep.
Okay. So it's
Uh,
the
Haiti,
people in the
Haitian.
van are probably black, 4 blacks.
Right, okay. So mistook him for someone else that was trying to smuggle drugs, move drugs, do something else as well. And you're right, could very well maybe going to send that message that this is our territory,
Yeah.
only to discover that, that's not what
not
we
them.
thought. Yeah, so, and maybe they were, like say, maybe they got caught in the crossfire and maybe two were already deceased, while the other two were only wounded. I don't know, but really just sounds like a very unfortunate case of wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
So
Just to highlight CNN and not really CNN, American. Right? This is part of it. There was actually a fifth person that was killed here. And an innocent Mexican bystander was also killed in the encounter. But that's not what the article says because CNN is much more concerned about Americans than they are other people's.
I hadn't heard about the fifth Mexican innocent bystander there. So
interesting. Okay. Final thoughts on to the next story.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's wrong place, wrong time. Very unfortunate. A couple of families have to deal with an unfortunate issue, and that's
tragic. And our thoughts, prayers, as they go out to the families.
These people, yeah, for sure.
All right, we're going to go through the next 3 clicks just a little bit slower, just so we can see what the titles are. But NHL playoff races, right? That's an ad. Beautiful Alaska. This beautiful Alberta park was home to the Last of Us latest villains. It's one more. This is the third click here.
Only because we skipped over the news or the ad. We didn't count it as a click. The actual ad that we didn't count it as a click.
No, so this would be the third article. This would be the right one. It's only if our third one stops and this is the ad that we would stop on it.
Okay, there you go. All right then.
Okay. Do you want to do this one?
Well, this beautiful Alberta park was home to The Last of Us latest villains. I was actually reading something else about The Last of Us.
What is The Last of Us, by the way?
I believe it's like a Netflix TV show or something. I wasn't aware until I read the other article that was something completely different than this, but had to do with the same show. And so I believe it said something about it's like a Netflix.
It is a Netflix story,
TV
and
show.
the important part, or the one of the key takeaways, is that this is actually being filmed here in Calgary. And so one of the scenes, so I grew up in Lethbridge, which is a couple hours south of here. They have a bridge in one of these scenes somewhere in the middle of their season. It's called the High Level Bridge. It's the longest and the highest of its kind on the planet, and that was
Okay.
where I grew up and filmed. This one
Yeah.
is filmed lots out in Banff and Canmore, which is about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour west of Calgary. A lot of these actors are here in town right now and doing lots of different things. And John Haim, I think, is in here. He's an actor for a bunch of different movies. He was at the last two Flames games here in town that they interviewed him. So anyway, this
Mhm.
beautiful Alberta Park was home to the Last of Us latest villains.
So I'm guessing the latest villain in the TV show is an Albertan, and this beautiful Alberta Park was his home, or he was home, the area or something. So
I'm not
that's
familiar
what
with
I was
this.
from the.
I'm not familiar with this story either. I just, other than what I just said, I've never watched the episodes. I don't know what the
Yeah,
premise
neither have
is.
I. The article that I happened to read about that concerned the cast and crew of The Last of Us um, had to stop production for a little bit because they had noticed that someone um, was technically pointing a rifle with a scope on it in their direction. I understand from the article that the Mounties were called in, they arrested the individual, and the individual was simply claiming that he was using his scope
Watching it.
on the camera to watch what was going on
Yeah.
because they were too far away.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what'll happen with that, whether he'll get charged or, but they had to stop production because
Yeah.
concerns of safety of.
Of
Uh,
course, they should be concerned there.
Absolutely.
Right?
You've got an unknown pointing a rifle at you with a scope on it. Everybody's running for cover. So
The guy could
that's
have
the
taken.
article that I happened to read about The Last of Us, which only tipped me off that it was a TV show on Netflix. Otherwise, I'd be like, I have no idea if it's a movie or.
The After the seventh episode of this was filmed almost entirely in an abandoned Calgary mall. I would suspect that mall. Do you want to take a guess what mall you think that is?
I have no idea what the mall that might be.
I think this is the one that's up by Cross Iron Mills across the highway. Cross Iron Mills is a super large mall of Calgary at the north end, just at the edges of the Calgary city
Yeah.
limits, and across the street from there, they a rival company, as it were, tried to make another mall, and 5 years after it's been made, there's zero people in there. There's zero leases. They can't get anybody to come in.
So
Because
Cross Mills open first, someone else comes
Yeah.
along, a developer, and says, we're going to do a development here,
Yeah.
except nobody is interested in opening up anything in this new mall. Okay.
Well, that's what I thought, but it turns out that's wrong.
Okay.
And this is why we have these conversations. Specifically, it was filmed in the illusion is it takes place in the snowy wilds of Colorado. And
Right.
it was actually shot in Alberta's Waterton Park. So Waterton is about an hour and a half south west of Lethbridge. So that's about 3.5-ish hours away from Calgary. It's beautiful. As a kid growing up, my family and I, we would go to Waterton every other weekend in the summertime. So it's probably that's the mall. It makes sense that would be it rather than what I just said. One shot in particular spotlights Waterton National Park. Per the group, it's showing a bunch of pictures here. In the latest episode, Ellie's hunt for food and her injured Joel, who is played by Pedro Pascal. He does a ton of stuff. He's a really good actor. Without spoiling it, say blah blah blah. Interesting right? It's just highlighting who can be spotted together in a place called Todd's Steakhouse. Obviously, it's the only restaurant by the lake in Waterton, so they went out. Interesting. Other places include real life places Albertans spotted, including the Thirsty Bear Social House and Trapper's Mountain Grill. I'm not sure where either one of those two places are, but clearly Albertan businesses that are being highlighted in this show, this television show. Over the course of the last several weeks, one of the highlights is to see where all the episodes have been filmed in Alberta. That's awesome, right? That's great. That's for now we admire, and I mean, there's one of the takeaways I read in other articles is that a lot of the actors that were in Last of Us are praising Alberta and how beautiful it is. Now, majority of them, like Pascal, I'm not sure if he's Hispanic, but he certainly speaks Spanish. Right? He might be Mexican and moved to the U.S. and became an actor. If I have that wrong, that's fine. But they're just amazed at how beautiful Alberta is.
Yeah.
We have wide open spaces. The air is clean. They're representing Waterton as Colorado, so I mean, the water is clear. We're a clean country overall, right? A lot of people from Detroit. I think somewhere in Texas, Houston. Houston was, I read today, was just described as the dirtiest city in America.
Oh yeah.
So we, we have our own vices here, as it were, but clearly we're not anywhere on that radar. So interesting. Final thoughts? What do you think about that? I didn't really say anything, right? Just
just
maple syrup is the you can see at the bottom just this beautiful Alberta Park, home to Last of Us. Just below that, just above my picture, is maple syrup. That's the news source, not one of those hard-hitting journalistic pieces, right? So
right.
That's how I take away some of the stuff.
Humanity piece. That's all.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Feel good. All right. 3 clicks. One. Helene, Mexican vacation went horribly wrong after her boyfriend was arrested. That's an ad. And this is you, I think, or is this me?
You go ahead.
BC introduces this is going to be a video. We're not going to have the link on this one. BC introduces legislation targeting people who have post intimate images without consent. What's an invasion of privacy, I guess? Right? I guess the question introduces legislation targeting people who post intimate images without consent. Well, there you go. It's pretty easy, right? You have an intimate relationship with someone. You agree to each other to take pictures.
Well, you assume that you both agree. I mean,
well, let's assume that you agree to the pictures, but it's worse if you don't agree to it, right? That's pretty clear cut. But it's if you agree to take the pictures, then you have a falling out of your relationship, and one person or the other posts those pictures. I think that's what we're talking about. Right? If you have a nanny cam or whatever, and you take pictures of someone that you brought home that night, and then post it up, I mean, that's, I think, a pretty fair, clear, easy cut from the law to say you're doing something wrong. But it's when you agree to take the pictures of each other and then post it without the other person. I think that's. You think that's reasonable?
It would seem to be something along those lines. But it's with cameras on your phone and everything, it's so readily easy to acquire intimate images of you and your partner. Let's take pictures, it'll be fun, and stuff. And then for whatever reason, and I'm sure there are many, someone decides to post the picture only to have the other partner find out, being blindsided when they find out that something's been posted of them in a somewhat, shall we say, compromised situation,
Yeah.
position or something, you know. Um, uh, it's a shame that it's got to go so far that you actually need legislation for this, you know, that common decency,
There it is.
you know, like
That's
at
exactly
what
it.
point, you know, at what point, if you're doing it benevolently, did you think that this was a good idea? And are you such a scumball, as it were, that when the relation breaks up, that you decide to seek vengeance by posting pictures? I mean, like, uh, either way, it's just
Well, I mean, we're human and we have fallacies, right? And the pain of uh, breaking up with the other person, you want to lash out to them, whether you're the person breaking up with them or you're the breakup-e, right? You want to
mhm.
be vindictive and you want the other person to feel as much pain as you are.
That is
And,
true.
and you
Yes. Yeah.
think, because you're being emotional, you think that this is one way to hurt the other person, right? But I mean, the common decency, as you said, doesn't prevail in this case. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've taken pictures of my partners and we've agreed. And I've thought
Mhm.
about doing some of that shit, but why would you? No, I haven't thought about that. I have taken pictures. But why? I mean,
Well,
it's a dissolution of
I
the
think
relationship.
you say the fallacy, human nature. You're in a relationship. You've got these pictures, and you've now broken up. Presumably ugly. Presumably,
Presumably, it's ugly. That's correct.
you know, it's ugly. And then there is that thought in the back of the mind that says, "Oh, I should post those pictures." You know, that's the guy on this shoulder saying, "Oh, I should post those
Yeah,
pictures."
yeah,
But this guy should kick in and say, "Smarten up,
yeah,
dumbass." You know,
yeah. Dumbass. Yeah, 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 yeah.
right? You know, so I mean, but I mean, we don't think that far quite often. We just go and do it
Yep.
without, you know, thinking about, are there any consequences here? You know,
And there should
so
be consequences. And
there should be. I think this is a severe problem with our societies. There just aren't consequences. Uh, to even the smallest of actions. So, for instance, I live off of a fairly significant road, and I have to be very careful walking around because if I go to cross a street, some drivers are just too busy paying attention to the traffic. They're not paying attention to pedestrians. And when they see the way is clear, they step on the gas pedal and go, only to see me standing in the middle of the road, you know. And
just as an aside, you should always, like, everyone should be worried about that. You should always be paying attention about crossing the road.
you should be,
Yeah.
yes, you should always be aware of your surroundings and
Safety
know what's
first, right?
going on.
That's our PSA message to the group. Safety first when you're crossing the road.
Uh, but these people aren't, you know, and
Right.
so they step on the gas and they go around and then suddenly they see you. Now,
Excuse me.
some people will stop, but there's a great number of times that people just kind of keep on going and plow through you and then just do a sorry wave, you know,
Yeah.
and as if, you know, they can just do it because what are the consequences? You know, there aren't any. The cop isn't there when you need it, per se, that the lights go off and they get instant karma and get pulled over and get ticketed for not,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
failing to yield
Reckless
to
driving, I think, is what it
you
is.
know, reckless driving, whatever the case is. But so I guess BC has decided that they need to introduce some kind of legislation to stop people or
Well,
penalize the people that do post an intimate image without the other person's consent, you know. And I see that being two problems right away. One is define an intimate image, and two, what do I need? Do I need a written signature, you know, piece of paper to say, you know, because verbally isn't going to work. Oh, we talked about it and she said it was okay for me to post it. But now in court, she's saying, oh, I never said that. So it becomes a case of
he
he
said,
said, she
she
said,
said,
you
yeah.
know. So,
So I think you're right on both of those points. To further add to that, um, so the video that of this story here, right? You can see that that this thing is
Is a video.
It's a video, right? So I did play it while you were talking here, and I don't hear it. I just see the closed caption reading it while you're talking.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere in this article it says there needs to be a better way to protect children and youth. So this is one of the things that politicians do. And Americans are notorious for doing this, but Canadians, because 90% of the population lives within 200 kilometers of the U.S. border, Canadians are inundated with American television. So they see it happening in the U.S. and we try and do those things here. And as Canadians as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
we don't really like some of that. So this is part of that article. So if BC introduced legislation targeting people who post intimate images without consent, where does it say children and youth there? Why would this politician bring those two groups of people in there? It should just be, as the title says, to stop posting intimate images. Now it's probably worse because of children, right? You're probably breaking a law, several
So
different
I'm
laws.
missing. What are the two groups? You said children and who?
Youth, which
Youth.
I
Oh,
think children are youth, but children, let's
yeah.
say, are under 12 and youth is under 17.
We'll go with some kind of definition like
Something
that.
like
Either
that,
way, they're both minors.
right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
right, I mean, so an adult, someone that's 18, having intimate relations with someone that's 17 or 16, that probably shouldn't be a jailable offense. Probably
No,
shouldn't
it
be,
isn't.
right?
Right.
If you're 18 and 14, certainly questionable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I believe in this country they've passed laws that that's still okay. Uh, 18 and
There's
13 is illegal.
age range.
Yeah,
You can't be like 27 dating a 17-year-old,
that's correct. And you
right?
can't be in a position of authority, a teacher.
Well, and that's a whole again.
So
That's a whole nother
that's a different thing.
issue. Yeah, I
But
mean, just
but this politician bringing in the word, there needs to be a better way to protect children and youth. I mean, that's just them trying to muddy the waters and get their agenda across. Whoever,
mhm.
like the BC, I'm assuming this is the ruling party. I don't know what the ruling party is in BC, but there's no reason for this politician to bring that statement in there, which is in line with what you just said. It seems to be muddying up, and there's two major problems here. One
Well,
which
now
is
they're making it worse. I mean, because
worse, yeah.
to read the article, you would assume that you're talking about adults of age, right? Uh, Notwithstanding the 18, 17
Right.
year, relationship. Uh, there is nothing in this headline that indicates to me
That children are
that
being targeted.
the children or youth are the topic of this
Intimate images.
legislation, because that's a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah.
You're talking at that point about child pornography,
Correct.
and there already is, I think, various legislations, federally, provincially, dealing with those kinds of issues. But reading the headline here is, I'm
Yeah.
assuming we're talking about two people who have a relationship, and the relationship doesn't necessarily have to have gone sour. They could still be involved with each other. But one of the people in the relationship thought it would be a good idea, or maybe it was just accidental and uploaded the wrong image to their Facebook page type deal, and couldn't get it down in time or something. Um,
But
but
I mean,
now they're trying to target.
oh, we just lost. Who cares there? What just happened? We're going to try and work on getting Who Cares back. I'm not sure what happened there, but yeah, let's. You know what we're going to do? We're just going to take a. No, we can't do that here. Yeah, let's open up a Discord, see if we can get Who Cares back real quick. Probably going to get a. Yeah, he's speaking. No, I can't hear you. Who cares? Let me open up my. Send him a message right away. See if we can get him back here. come into see if we can get him to come into Discord. Let's flip the next story. We'll just continue on here while we try and figure that out. Russians close to capturing a city in ferocious battle. That's also a video. I don't know. Tony fired as Wisconsin men's hockey coach. And then Oilers' Connor McDavid sets career high in points and win over the Sabres. So that is our next story. This will probably be a little bit quicker. Let's continue on here. I mean, he's on fire, right? I think we talked a little bit about this last week. That Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are two of the top 50 scorers in the league. Connor McDavid is first, and Leon Draisaitl is listed as sixth. They're the only of all the teams of the 32 teams we have. They're the only team that have top more than two in the top 32. Right? Everyone's has their top number one peoples, but we're the only ones that have them going on. Who cares? Still working there. Okay. Let's click this one. Connor McDavid's world. You're just living in it. Scored twice, including game winner. He sets new career high with 124 points. Like, this guy's ripping it up. So part of the problem, and that's great that he's scored that. Like, congratulations, that's a huge milestone. He should be proud of that. We should be encouraging that. But his team isn't going to make the playoffs, which is problematic. Is that him sending me? I don't know. Pair of points took McDavid's tally to 124 in only 65 games, eclipsing the 123 points he registered in 80 games last year. That's right, so he's over that. So they're doing better, but their team isn't going to make it, not by the looks of it. 26-year-old has 54 goals. That's huge. 10 more than his career high last season. Running away with it. Rocket Richard. Holding a 10-goal cushion over second place, David Pastrnak. That's he's out of Boston, I believe. Currently riding 11-point game streak. Yeah, that's kind of it. Edmonton currently occupies the first wildcard spot in the Western Conference, tied for third in the Pacific Division with the Seattle Kraken for 74 points, and 4 points clear of the Colorado Avalanche in the second wildcard position. So maybe they will make it, but they're going to skip into the wild card. For a guy that's has 124 points on his resume, you would think that his team as a whole would be higher than that. So I mean, I hope they make it, but frankly, I hope Calgary makes it first. But you know what I'm saying? It's good for him, but you know, let's quickly try to make one more. We're still working with Who Cares. Can't hear you, buddy. Can't hear you. What do you need me to do? More collab?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm over in Discord.
Okay. I hit the muted piece in Discord there, so at least I can hear you. And we haven't got your picture, but can you still see my screen?
I've got your news article. Yeah, you were just talking about Connor McDavid.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. We can worry about the camera in a bit, I guess.
Okay.
Let's continue on with our. We've got 20 minutes to go here still, so this is just an ad. Poilievre doubles down on inquiry calls as Trudeau orders interference probes. And our third one. 4 NHL storylines to watch for the rest of the regular season. Obviously, they're just picking up teams, right? Which ones? Mm-hmm. I think we've already talked a little bit about hockey just because we talked about Connor McDavid. So we'll take the next one. All right, this one here. Seoul's intelligence reveals new facts about North Korean leader's daughter. You want to take this one on?
Mhm. um, New facts. So Kim Jong Un, leader of North Korea, has been showcasing his daughter of late, taking her to various events. I've seen
Really?
a few headlines. Yeah. However, there is speculation that is not being groomed to be the leader of the country. Uh, Not that there was always talk about his health issues, but I don't know if he's experiencing anything like that. But I think they're just, it's being noticed that he's taking his daughter out with him to these events, whatever they are, and creating speculation about why why his daughter is suddenly with him. So Seoul's intelligence reveals new facts about the daughter. I have no idea, what kind of facts they might be. So this could be interesting. You've got the article.
Yeah.
Uh,
I didn't even know about this, so you're already ahead of me on it.
yeah, I just know a little bit. Like I say, and really all it caught is some headlines. Read the front the buy tag story and just happened to read that they do not believe she is being groomed to be the next leader.
I think that's fair, right? So for those people that live under rocks and don't know what North Korea is or where it is, obviously it's in Asia. It's north of South Korea, right?
I was just going to say, yeah, it's North and South Korea, yeah.
So they are a dictatorship, and it's quite a harsh regime from all stories. It's a political state. The government rules every aspect of your life. It's a pretty harsh place from all accounts. So there's no reason for me to think that. Okay, so the article says that the picture there you see is his second daughter, his second child. Sorry, his second child has an older brother and another sibling. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that would lead me to the conclusion, knowing what you know about dictatorships and any sort of report of North Korea, patriarchy is going to be the right one here. So when Who Cares says that she's not being groomed or it's not led to believe that she's being groomed, I absolutely think that's correct. I think this, and then it says it has an older brother. It's the older brother that's going to be groomed to take over here, not this daughter. Right?
In the past, there's been various speculation that when they talked about his health issues, that it would actually be the sister that was sort of next in line to be the leader of the country. But that seems to have kind of, I haven't,
Faded away.
not that I go looking for those articles, but I haven't seen anything. But you would think and expect that it would be very patriarchal and that a male would be groomed. And it would seem that, I mean, maybe the problem is I don't know how old the son is. If the son is not of legal age, maybe the sister takes over until the son achieves, 18 or 21 or something.
She has an older brother.
Yeah.
Right. So looking at this girl in this picture, this is difficult to tell the age of Asian peoples to begin with. She could be anywhere between 14 years of age and 32.
Yeah. I think probably closer to 14, but
I was trying to be a little bit funny there because, right, but you're right. It's who knows. But if she has an older brother, right? The article says that she has an older brother. There's no reason for us to doubt that.
This might have been one of those things that 4 or 5, 6 years ago, maybe Kim Jong Un's health was much more suspect than it is now. Let's say. But the son was too young to take over as leader of the country. And so it might have been media presenting, and not just media, I guess, but worldview presenting that the sister would take over until such time the son was old enough. Now several years later, the son may be almost old enough. Kim Jong Un's health might have improved, and he still has several years, of expected survivability. But now they just have this thing where the daughter is suddenly being paraded around, and maybe it just strikes a funny chord.
So
With
looking at this picture that's with the caption here, "Seoul's intelligence reveals." Again, I have zero medical training, right? But that young lady seems pretty healthy. When I open up the article and scroll through, there's a picture of her wearing the same outfit, this black cap. You can see this brooch on her left lapel in this black jacket. In the second picture, there's a picture of Kim and her wearing all the same hat and this lapel. So this picture and this other picture are taken moments apart, 1 minute, 2 minutes, something like that, but in the same days, right? It could be staged, but I doubt it. Kim looks pretty healthy,
Yeah.
right? He's got that same sort of round face that he has, and when you look at some of the other people in the background pictures, his military leaders, they don't all have that same round face that this young girl and Kim has. So, from a health perspective, I think they both look kind of healthy.
Well, I imagine what's happened is Kim Jong Un's health was declining. He was overweight. Apparently,
Yeah,
he's a smoker. He overeats and the whole bit.
of
And
course.
doctors probably told him to get his act together, And
Nicely, of
I
course,
haven't seen
because
pictures of him.
they would just kill you.
Yeah, I mean,
Nicely,
well, maybe they may do that. You don't hear, well, you hear some maybe, and so maybe his health has improved. Maybe he's lost weight, and so forth. And so now there doesn't seem to be the same concern of him passing away suddenly or something. But I think it's kind of what is just as the article is referring to is referencing is suddenly his daughter is showing up at all these events with him, and so it's kind of like, oh, what's going on there? And apparently, Seoul's intelligence has some new facts about this young lady. So, what are the new facts that Seoul's intelligence has revealed?
well, I mean, again, further down in the article, this is a quote from someone from South Korea. The intention behind the second-born, I'm assuming it's this young woman, Kim Ju-oh, frequent appearance in public seems like an effort to imprint the legitimacy of a hereditary succession of the Kim bloodline, which is in line with kind of what you're saying. Um, this article's or that statement says that's what they're trying to do. She is with him on a lot of these things, so people get used to seeing her. And when he says that she's taking over or hereditary heir, um, then you just have to worry about regicide, I guess. But the NIS, National Intelligence Services, I'm guessing. I'm not sure what that one is. I'm just guessing that's what NIS stands for. Explained that Kim Jong Un is still too young and healthy to designate a successor so early. So a little more known about the two siblings. Third child has been confirmed, but the gender is still unknown. So that child is way too young to take over.
Yeah.
Large scale drills. The young girl here that we see in the picture, she likes horseback riding and swimming and skiing. Those sound. In particular, there's information that Kim Jong Un is quite satisfied with her excellent horseback riding skills. That could be the facts. What?
Mm.
ABC News is the news source here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
For the record, there is a third child, but because of the seclusion that North Korea, they keep everything very, very tight, not just this kind of thing. It's not like the kid is 2 months old. I believe the third child to be older than that, but it's just been so secluded from everything that nobody has seen this child, and so nobody knows it's a boy or a girl.
An interesting take is like as the ISS, the International Space Station, flies around the planet, It's continually looking at Earth and taking pictures and things like that. And one of the more interesting pictures that I at least I find interesting is when they take a picture at nighttime of the planet. So various areas around the planet light up with the light pollution, right? The whole east coast of America, of the U.S., is brightly lit up, especially right around that New York area. When you see other
Hmm.
pictures of Europe, Germany is really well lit up, and then you see pockets where smaller towns are, and then the next city, and then right you see this
Right.
ebb and flow of light. China, all along the coast, lots and lots of lights, less so on the interior. South
Hmm.
Korea, Seoul, right, which is the capital of South Korea, very well lit up. South Korea, very well lit up with lights. Again, some sort of those pockets. North Korea, is it Pyeongchang? I think that's the capital of North Korea. That's the only city that has any fair amount of light to it. The rest of the country is almost black,
Completely dark.
right?
Yeah.
And you can see where the border between China and North Korea is because it's white, or there's light on one side of it, and you can see a straight line across, and it's completely black, except for a couple of
Right.
larger cities. I think that's interesting and telling, right? Not a lot of infrastructure, not a lot of,
Yeah.
right, yada yada yada. So it's interesting for
Yeah.
sure. Let's continue on because we spent two rotations on that one. That was a good article. Next one.
Yeah. We've only got a few minutes left, so we want to make sure we keep whatever this one brief.
This is what we were talking about before. The Last of Us praises Calgary for its beautiful landscape. This is
Oh
exactly what I
yeah.
said earlier on in the other article, right?
Hmm.
This is our last one here. Oilers may have no choice but to buy out Jack Campbell. Um, is Jack? I don't know. It's Jack Campbell. I think is the goaltender, right? I would be led to the conclusion that that's a goaltender for the Oilers. Obviously,
Hmm.
with the trade deadline having come and passed, um, I don't know what I don't know what the deal is. I mean, while we're
Yeah.
trying to get Who Cares back, talked about Connor McDavid. He scored 126 points, right, which is an all-time high for him. That's great, but their team is struggling to make the playoffs. This may be in relation to that as well. Oilers have no choice but to buy him out because he's not doing very well. His contract's where it's at. You have to buy the guy out to ship him somewhere else. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. It would seem that while Connor McDavid is scoring goals and setting up goals, uh,
Oops.
they're also giving up a lot of goals. So where Calgary keeps losing by one goal, 3-2,
How many one goal
you
games
know,
do we have? Did you tell me this the other day?
yeah, 24 or something,
Yeah.
the league record. 24 out of like roughly 31 losses, 24 of them are by one goal or something. So,
Yeah.
but obviously, if the Oilers are vying for a mere wild card spot, while Connor McDavid is finding the back of the net so often, you got to figure that the Oilers are losing,
Well,
6-5 and 6-4 and 7-5 or something.
excuse me.
Bless you.
Sorry about
Meaning
that.
that the other team is scoring more goals. What is it? It'd be interesting to look up their goals against record, but I
Mm-hmm.
mean, goals for and goals against. Either that or he has these big blowouts where the Oilers are winning 10-1 and he's scoring and assisting on a ton of those goals, padding his stats. But at the end of the day, it's only one win, kind of deal. But who Jack Campbell is, it would be reasonable to assume he's the goalie. Um, I'm looking at the logo on the jersey. It's not. I think it says. Does it say Oilers on it? I can't
That
read
is,
it.
yeah. So in
Okay,
this
so it must be a.
country, we're pushing lots for recognition of indigenous populations for various reasons. Um, I'm not going to get into that, but
Right.
the logo that he's wearing there, that is the Oilers in the middle, and it's very much like a turtle. Um, it looks like a turtle anyway, a turtle
Yeah, kind of.
shell, but indigenous colors and landings and things of that nature.
Okay. That's not their new logo. That's
No.
probably just a logo for.
Yeah, Indigenous Day at the forum.
Yeah, right. Okay. So I don't know if Jack Campbell is their starting goalie or is their backup goalie. And I don't know why you would have no choice but to buy him out. They can't trade him. Maybe they need to get rid of him, but they can't trade him. Nobody else wants him. I don't understand the concept of waivers per se. I don't know if they can put him on waivers or if they tried that and it didn't work, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, those are great questions. Who cares? I don't. I'm with you on all those questions. Again, as a Calgary Flames fan, I at least have a working knowledge of other teams, while not knowing the details of their team. Right? Obviously, we know who the Leon Draisaitl's and the Connor McDavid's are. The Darnell Nurses, right? And I picked those three because they've been in the news of late, but I didn't know. And looking at this for the opening paragraph of this story, it looks like Jack Campbell is the starting goaltender for the Oilers. For the sixth straight start, Jack Campbell posts a save percentage of less than .900, which is not good, of course, which is part of what Calgary's issues running into as well, right? We're not doing good. Doing well, sorry, not doing good.
And that certainly ties into the fact that they're obviously losing because they're fighting for a wild card spot because his save percentage is less than .900.
So when I just talked about, we had lost your video there and your feed for a little bit. I did continue on to talk about McDavid, right? He scored the 126 points, which is a career high for the guy. We talked about this last week or so. Connor McDavid is the number one guy on the scoring list, the points list. Leon Draisaitl was 6th on that list back then. Of the top 32 names on there, that'd be one top scorer for every team. Edmonton is the only one that has 2 people on that list, and they're struggling. They're first in the wild card position in our division. Right? So as you said, McDavid's hitting a lot of points, a lot of goals, and assisting and getting a lot of points, pucks in the back. But who cares? If their team is struggling to make the playoffs, that's problematic. There's something else going on here. Article says for the 6th straight, Jack Campbell allowed 6 goals on 38 shots, which is in line with what we're just talking about. As you said, maybe Edmonton's having huge blowouts and scoring lots of points, but when you have the turnaround when they're getting blown out, 6 goals and 38 shots is pretty rough, right?
Yeah, that's not good at all.
That's not good at all.
Yeah.
5th straight loss for the 31-year-old. So that now his age is starting to come into play. I think he probably has another 3 or 4 years at the top of his game. He'll start declining after that. As that college athlete I was telling you about before, men typically hit their very peak performance at the age of 35, and then after that they start falling down, as it were. Football, NFL football is really, really tough on your body. So you'll probably flame out late 20s, assuming you can hold off injuries. Right? You go through a ton of linebackers, less so on your quarterbacks. Because quarterbacks don't get hit as often, but linebackers get hit every play 700 times in a game or something, right? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's safe to say their supposed number one netminder has been far from solid. Struggles are nothing new for Campbell. Hard pressed to find a stretch of games where he has been good, right? Which is the same as our goalie, so we're having the same issues. Reflective Oilers' defensive issue. That argument has proven false rather quickly when considering the fact that his rookie counterpart, Skinner, owns a far better .912. So there's a couple different reasons why that is. That's a misleading stat, I think. Dan Vladar who's our backup goalie for Calgary, is on paper playing better than Markstrom. But he only plays 10 games, and Markstrom's played 50.
Right.
Something like that, right? Skinner, who's their backup, is not playing nearly as many games as their starter, but he has better stats. Right? So.
Well, and I mean, he's much more rested and probably much more motivated when he gets to play, whether it's a start or a sub in or something. Backup goalies they're eager to get in the game. They want to show what they can do, and they're pumped more.
They want to
When
give it
you're
a shot.
playing, yeah, when you're playing every single day kind of deal or every single game, trying to stay focused is a challenge for anybody. Do we expect too much from goalies these days, or are our players, our forwards, just goal machines? And we expect too much? Is this becoming the norm, that maybe the days of .94, I don't know what might have been, but are gone? Maybe, you don't have the goalies that you had of past, the Brodeurs, the Roys, and others you might come to mind that really stood out. Maybe they were the superstar goalies, but are we expecting too much from goalies these days?
I think it's the other way. I don't think that those guys were great goalies necessarily. It's just that your pool of players weren't that good, right?
So they stood out, and that's could be the different perspective. And now we're switched around that our players are much better goal scorers, and our goalies are they can't match the task. They can't meet it.
I'm an old guy, right? And so I recall when Wayne Gretzky, the great one, ironically, actually played for Oilers for the majority of his career. When he retired from New York from hockey, not that he was on New York. When he retired from hockey, he was asked why he was retiring, and he just said, "Well, it's this, that, and the other thing." But the takeaway point is that he said when he was coming up through there, when he was a young man, it's that the hockey players weren't that great. I was just so fast and more talented. I could just outplay these guys. Now, the hockey players that are being groomed, that are 10, 15 years younger than I am as they're coming through, they are big and they're strong and they're fast.
Mm-hmm.
And that's different than what he had. So again, the perspective that I'm not taking away all those goalies you said there, the Brodeurs and the Roys. They are great, right, in their own right. They made it to the NHL. They're the top 1% of the 1%, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the players just weren't that great, right? So they would lose to guys like Mario Lemieux and Gretzky's, and now you have people like the Sidney Crosbys and the Ovechkins, right? Ovechkin,
Yeah.
I think overall is a much better player than Sidney Crosby. I mean, because Sid the Kid rarely gets into fights, has other people to do it, but Ovechkin, he says fuck that, and he'll just pop you. He'll do his dirty work on his own, right?
Right.
People don't usually have that. So part of, like, Ovechkin's got that full, well-rounded parcel. Are we expecting too much from our goalies? Again, one of the stats I think to look at is interesting in like Calgary's being highly criticized for we take 50 shots on goal and we force the other team to be better. And the argument that the naysayers have is, well, those aren't quality shots. Well, I want to know how many shots are directly in versus how many shots are tipped in. And not just our goalie, just in general, because I think that has a huge play against our Jack Campbell story here. Right? I mean,
two things on that subject. I was talking to a guy at the club who is also very much into the Flames, much like you are. And I was reading an article after the fact, completely separate to it. And both are saying that the problem lies that we are taking too many shots from low percentage positions. The article actually talked about them being wrist shots, and that the goalies are, those are easy stops for a goaltender. So if you're sitting at the blue line taking wrist shots at a goalie with nobody in the way, these goalies are going to have no problems stopping those shots.
So easier for them,
yeah, you can stand there all day long taking those shots. And like, oh, well, we took 50 shots. Well, yeah, they, by the sounds of it, are not what you would call quality shots. Now, I understand the concept. You're not really looking to score on the wrist shot so much as you're
Get
trying
in
to get a
front
rebound,
and
you
get the
know,
tip-ins. Yes.
and possibly maybe a tip in. But again, what was explained to me is that we don't have anybody in front of the net. We lost Keith Kachuk, and he was the one that stood in front of the net and caused trouble in front of the net and got rebounds and scored goals. So, but
Do you mean Matthew Kachuk? Keith Kachuk is his
yeah,
dad.
is his dad. Yeah,
Yeah,
Matt Kachuk. Yeah, Matthew
Matthew
Kachuk.
Kachuk. Yeah.
They've got a bunch of Kachucks playing, so I knew it was one of those Kachucks. So
Well, his brother Brady is the captain for the Ottawa Senators.
the Senators. Yeah, I thought there was still yet another Kachuk somewhere playing as well. Maybe
that may
not.
be, but they're not related.
Or maybe they're not related. Just yeah. So, all right. Any
No,
last thoughts here? Let's.
Campbell has 4 more years remaining on his contract with a cap hit of $5 million. He also has a 10-team no trade clause, meaning it would be difficult to trade him, if not flat out impossible. Which means Jack Campbell is saddled with the Oilers. Now, I am a huge I rarely boo athletes. I just don't. It's not that I rarely. I just don't boo athletes. Nor do I boo
Mhm.
the referees, even though I think there's some atrocious calls. Um, you know, the fans were booing Calgary last week at their last home game earlier on this week. That's terrible. And the news comes up. Sutter says, "Yeah, I'd boo these guys as well." I don't think
Yeah.
that's I don't think that's appropriate, right? It speaks about your character when you do that. We want to build people up, not tear people down. That being
For
said,
sure. Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
quite okay that the Oilers are saddled, as it were, with Jack Campbell, because that means that plays better for us, right?
Yeah.
Because we're about
Mhm.
winning. We want to win, right?
Mhm.
But to suggest, there's still some wins here for like some takeaways for the Oilers here. We're just not looking that hard, and frankly, I don't want to look any harder than we already have of the wins of having a Jack Campbell. Right? 4 more
Yeah.
years, no, not trading the guy could be difficult. We'll see. We'll see.
Yep. Okay.
Let's we have our advertiser up there, Yuck Yucks. Why don't you tell us just a couple things about these guys and what we should look at?
Well, Yuck Yuck's a stand-up comedy club. Franchises all across Canada. We've got ours here in Calgary at the Elbow River Casino. You know, it's a great night out full of laughs. You get to watch 3 comedians, so do their thing. They're going to make you laugh. You're going to have a good time. Eat and drink some, and so come check us out. Like I say, Elbow River Casino. Tickets online, yuckyucks.com.
That's in Calgary,
And-
Calgary, Alberta, by the way.
Yeah, this is well.
You can see the ad there that says Calgary, Alberta, but just want to make sure that you can't go to Yuck Yucks in Toronto and get this deal. You got to be in Calgary.
Yeah, so we're going to throw out tickets to anybody watching this and all,
Tickets?
but yes, it will
What?
be only at the Calgary Yuck Yucks franchise at the Elbow River Casino. So, yeah, if you're in one of the other cities, sucks to be you, I guess.
How can they get tickets from you?
So mention.
Two guys talking about random shit.
Yep, mention those when you're call in. Talk to the guy on the phone. He'll do some ticket reservations for you, and get the number online. And yeah, we'll set you up. I'll set you up with 4 tickets. Come see a show. This will be good for March only. We've got still a couple of weekends left.
About 3 weeks here, right?
Yeah, so come see one of the shows in March, and we'll hook you up with some tickets.
That's awesome. That's great. Thank you again to Yuck Yucks here in Calgary, taking care of us like that. I am Noob Frostmage. My co-host here is Who Cares? We are two random guys, two guys talking about random shit. We want to say thank you to everyone for coming in today, and we look forward to seeing you. When's our next show? When are we getting here? I think we're going to go. We're looking for Friday this week, right? You had some personal issues that you had to take care of on our regular Monday, Thursday days, so we've just moved it one day. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm tied up Monday, Wednesday, so I think we're looking at Thursday.
Okay, with Thursday? Okay, yeah, we can do Thursday for sure. We will see you guys this coming Thursday, 2 days from now, 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. Come check us out. We have a couple links down below. The YouTube, this will be uploaded to YouTube by the end of the day today. If you want to come back and watch it and hear what we have to say, and we encourage you to type your comments in there. We want to hear from you. You guys have a great day. Who cares?
Yeah.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.